Fear has two meanings.
Two?
Forget everything and run.
Run?
Or face everything and rise.
Ah.
Welcome to Casa De Confidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
And some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLucca-Collins, and you are our sidekick. Hashtag handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home because our casa
is your casa.
Welcome back to another episode of Casa De Confidence, and welcome back to you, Daniel Collins. What a pleasure to have you join me today.
It's been several weeks.
Why do we keep doing this? This is 2025. It seems like we're trying to fade you out, but we're not. You're an integral part of this duo.
The patriarchy is dying.
You got to be kidding me. The patriarchy needs to... I can't even.
No.
I'm going to get in trouble.
We've had a lot going on.
Listen, let's talk a little bit about what happened. Let's unpack what happened.
What happened?
Our baby is in the hospital yesterday.
Yes. Well, that has nothing to do with me not being on the show the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but let's talk about our baby being in the hospital.
I
want to talk about that because if you don't have any pets, you may not get this. But, oh boy, was I terrified. Yesterday was going from, okay, I'm going to think positive, everything is great, to trying to manage my brain, to all of a sudden going into all of the fearful thoughts of, I'm going to lose him. He's going to be dead. He's got a kidney infection, a liver infection. He's got a tumor. He's got cancer. Okay. And, I think that sometimes, right, we want to just run and hide under the covers when things are going awry. But sometimes it's just a matter of sitting and letting yourself know that you will figure it out once you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And taking one step at a time.
And Juju is fine.
Juju is fine. Well, he has pancreatitis and Cushing's
disease. He's working
disease.
on being fine. He doesn't have the worst.
He doesn't have the worst. And you know how it all started.
The Cushing's disease makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he said he'll have an elevated appetite. I'm like, he has always had an elevated
appetite. I wonder how long he's had Cushing's, honestly, now.
Probably his whole life.
Poor baby. He's 9. He came to us a couple years ago. He used to belong to a friend of mine who passed away, and then another friend took him in. And unfortunately, she couldn't care for him and asked if I would take him. And I said, of course. Well, she asked if we could rehome him. And Dan said, we're not rehoming him. We're going to keep him.
Yeah. We found a home for him. It's right here.
We found the home for him. And Dan likes to say that we have a 2-dog minimum, and we are currently exceeding that.
Yes, that's true.
But
2-dog minimum, because Julie's always sending me pictures of dogs to adopt. I'm like, we have a 2-dog minimum. She's like, we got 3 now. I'm like, yeah, we're 1 over. She's like, what's 1 more?
What's 1 more, right? Well, when I was sitting in the emergency vet, and, we have a state-of-the-art veterinary hospital here in Connecticut, and I kept thinking, all the hopes and dreams I have of someday having like a farm with all these dogs. I don't know if I could do that because, wow, saying goodbye to your furry friends and loved ones is it's not fun. And we saw a lot of people doing that yesterday.
So we have to give a shout out to, the place we went yesterday is not our normal vet. And the place we normally go to is Hebron Veterinary in Hebron, Connecticut. And if you're local and close to Hebron Vet, they are incredible.
They're amazing.
Wonderful, amazing.
And not just because we know them personally.
Yeah. And it's a great place to bring your pet if you need a place to bring your pet. Unfortunately, there was a test they couldn't do because the normal person who does those tests was out of the country.
How dare they travel when my dog needs them?
So they recommended us to the best veterinary clinic that they recommend, and that's a veterinary hospital, and that's in Middletown, Connecticut,
called Piper Olson Vet.
Yeah. So we go out of
the art.
Yeah, we go out of our way about a half hour to go to Hebron Vet, and instead of going to this, we probably passed 3 other vets on the way to Hebron.
Yeah, but
and it turns out that Piper, which is in Middletown, is about a half hour from my house also.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a people hospital.
Oh my God.
It's big. It's a big deal. It's been around for
almost 100 years.
A century, right? Yeah. But we were there all
day long.
So
played a lot of games on my phone.
She leveled up.
To say the least.
She showed me how to play mahjong. She said mahjong helps develop your brain a little bit.
Yeah, and you need all the brain development that you can get, Daniel.
Yeah, I need memory development. You know why? Yesterday, a couple days ago, I tell Julie, hey, there's going to be a package coming.
Mm-hmm.
And if a package comes, any packages come, don't open them.
That's right.
Because one's your gift, and I don't want you to see what your gift is.
Right.
And it's not coming from Amazon. Shocker. So yesterday we get home and I see a box. This is after a long day at the vet. I bring it in the house. I put it on the counter. I'm like, Julie, what is this box? What did you order now? And she looks at the box. And as soon as I see her looking at the box, I look down at the box and it says SodaStream.
That's right.
Well, Julie
I've been asking for a SodaStream for a long time.
Julie got a SodaStream.
For Christmas?
SodaStream for Christmas, but she knows what it is, so we opened it today. So.
We opened it today, and listen, I'm satisfied. It's
works well.
Pretty good.
It works very well.
I'm very excited.
So we are kicking the cans to the curb.
Kicking the cans to the curb.
Gonna do a little good for the planet.
Oh, got it. Kicking the cans to the curb.
I get it.
Got it. Okay.
And we're gonna, try out the SodaStream. The first flavor tasted pretty darn good. So
pretty good. And I am pretty sensitive.
Of course, she didn't want to read the instructions. She almost did it backwards.
I
which
never
you're not
read instructions. Who has time for that?
Well, you're supposed to put the flavoring in after you fizz the water because
I thought the flavoring goes in there and it automatically flavors.
Well, the flavoring will
thing.
Contaminate and dirty up the nozzle that fizzes.
Got it.
So you got to just put your water, fizz it.
I guess it pays to have someone in your life that reads directions so they can keep you going.
So anyway, Julie.
Yes, Daniel Collins.
Yesterday was, I enjoyed my time with you, but seeing in a busy pet hospital, we saw a lot of families going through some very difficult times.
Yeah, we did.
And that was a little tough. Not tough for me, but tough for them. But you feel that, and you can tell when something's happening. There's the waiting rooms there are huge.
Yeah.
And something's happening that's not good. Everyone was so respectful and we're quiet.
I felt almost guilty when they called us back to speak to the doctor, and then they said, well, we're going to give him an enema and then you can take him home.
This dog needs an enema.
And they brought him out, and I saw the door open, and here's Juju, our little chunka monkey, wrapped up in like a diaper.
A big, a pee-pee pad wrapped. He got a pee-pee pad wrapped around his body, and I'm like,
they're like, take him outside. Good luck to you.
The doctor that came out, I'm like, is he loaded up? She goes, He sure is.
Oh my God. But
So-
and then they handed me my baby dog, and I was I'm so grateful and wanted to kiss him and hug him, and I was holding him tight, and I felt so guilty because I know that not everybody was going to necessarily have a happy outcome.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah. We saw at least 4 families yesterday. It is a very busy hospital, and it's an emergency hospital.
Yeah, there was one dog that came in, and it was like a blur. We were sitting right by the door, and Dan had stood up to go to the desk, and I was not looking when they came in. All I saw is like, all I saw is I looked to where Dan is, and there's a woman crying hysterically behind him, and then there's another woman that runs barefoot, and a dad, and they're all, you can tell they're crying, and Dan said the dog looked to be in bad shape, and I did not.
The dog he got hit by a car.
Yeah,
and they were doing what they could. We don't know what the result was, but
well,
anyway, enough
let's
sad
talk happiness, Daniel.
Stuff. Julie,
Dan,
we did get to go out to breakfast yesterday.
We
after
did
we
go
dropped
to breakfast yesterday.
Our horse off.
That's what we do every Saturday morning. We have a breakfast date.
We dropped our dog off. Dropped our dog off, and we got to go to a breakfast place in Middletown, which was very nice. And
we really like those breakfast dates, which are important. Anyhow,
hey Julie.
Yes.
I know we've been talking here, but we do have a guest today.
We do have a guest today, and she's pretty spectacular. I really enjoyed my conversation with her, as I do with most of our guests. But this person in particular is a lifelong resident of Minnesota, and she's a former music educator for 19 years. And she has used a manual wheelchair since she was the age of 8. And she started using it because of her juvenile idiopathic arthritis. And Jenna Udenberg is a Bladen Foundation community leader and a 2020 Bush Fellow and a 2025 Shannon Leadership Institute Fellow. And she writes for Lake County Press in her column. And again, she is 4'2" and inspires vulnerability. I was incredibly grateful that I had an opportunity to speak to her. She has a memoir, which you can find on all of the regular websites, and we'll have the information in the show notes. But really, really touched by the conversation that I had with Jenna.
I like the name of her book.
Yeah?
Within My Spokes.
I know, right? It's pretty clever.
It's Within My Spokes, a tapestry of pain, growth, and freedom.
Yeah.
A lot with freedom and growth often comes pain. And in this, in her case, that was part of her journey.
I know. Now, I want you to also know that one of the reasons we are releasing Jenna today is because this is Sunday and Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. And my friend, I want to encourage you that if for any reason you are in a position to be able to support the work that Jenna is doing, this could be an organization which is above and beyond with you, and they will match. Give to the Max will match the work that Jenna's organization is doing. And she is an accessibility advocate, which I think it's incredibly important. My grandmother was in a wheelchair, so I know that making spaces accessible and inclusive for everyone are so key. A lot of times, when I go shopping, and I know that there are certain rules for accessibility, but a lot of times when I go to certain stores and the aisles are tight and the clothing hangers are too close, I always go back to think, my grandmother's wheelchair couldn't get through this. And I think that there's a lot of people that we forget are living that need, not a hand up, but just an accommodation.
And I know you talk about that in the interview.
We do talk about that.
She's not only a disability advocate, but she's working as a disability activist and accessibility educator.
That's right.
which is something I think we need because we don't understand sometimes the, you know, what in society needs to be, physically correct for
Mm-hmm.
people with disabilities to live
Right.
like people who are fully abled,
Absolutely.
and that's such important work.
Yeah, it sure is. So I will put all the information in the show notes, and I encourage you that not only can you check out this interview, enjoy it, share it with a friend, my dear listener, but also more importantly, if you are in a position in which you can help this organization, help Jenna's work, to go to her website and definitely no contribution is too small. And Jenna's website is above and beyond with you, the letter U.org. And go
it'll
and
be
check
in
it
the
out.
show notes.
That's right. All right. So on to the interview. And remember that, hey, December is here. And boy, do we have some fun things planned for December.
We do?
Dan, we talked about this already.
Okay. Happy, yeah.
Yippee-yay.
So I hope you enjoy this interview with Jenna Udenberg and my Julie.
I am so happy that you're joining me for another episode of Casa De Confidence. My friend, if you've been listening to this show for a while, you know that advocacy is incredibly important to me. And the topic that we're going to be going over today is close to my heart. Number one, because from an early age, I lived with someone who was very impactful in my life, and she was in a wheelchair. And I know that she had struggles living in a world that is not created for individuals who are in a wheelchair. For me, our next guest is doing some incredible advocate work that we all need. And today, our guest is Jenna Udenberg, and she's an inspiring author, disability advocate, and accessibility educator. She was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis at age of 7 and has faced life's challenges with incredible resilience and determination. I want to dive into this conversation. I know that there's a lot of things I'm leaving out of the bio, but you got to hear it from her, not from me. So welcome to the show, Jenna.
Hi, Julie. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, it's an honor to have you here because the work that you're doing is incredibly important to so many individuals. Now, the one thing I did not mention is that in 2020, you were a Bush Fellow. What does that mean?
Yeah, so a Bush Fellowship, you have to live in Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, or the 23 tribal nations that are in those geographic areas. And it's a kind of a prestigious thing. They only select 26 community leaders every year for this awesome fellowship. And when I was in the fellowship, it was a $50,000 per year for 2 years fellowship. And you could choose to do like a pre-prescribed, like if you want to go get your bachelor's or master's or doctorates, that kind of certification kind of a thing. Or you could do a track like I did where you can choose your own adventure, for lack of better words. That's Jennaism, not Bushism. And so I did more of certifications through Cornell University that I found to be more impactful. Originally, it was supposed to be all going all over America. I wanted to wheel in the spaces where Judy Heumann and Ed Roberts and other ginormous disability advocates and activists have been that have given me the life that I have. And I wanted to go to Sweden, the most accessible country in the world. That's been billed that for many, many years. And then the pandemic happened. And so, of course, with my arthritis and all the medications I take for that and for my diabetes, that was just not in my cards. So I completely revamped, and I ended up able to use some of the fellowship funds for self-care, which is a huge part of the fellowship. Like, how are you going to sustain the work that you're doing? So I was able to get some medical exercise equipment, which was super important, being the pandemic and not knowing when I got to leave my house again. I also got to create a self-designed accessible garden up at one of my friends' farms. And so that was like super impactful and still impacts my leadership today to get out in our very short growing season in northern Minnesota. And most importantly, I was able to write my memoir within my spokes. So I got some education in how to be a better writer, how to be a self-published author, and all of that. So
love. Everything is
so
phenomenal. And thank you for sharing that. I think that sometimes, we come across individuals' accomplishments and it's come across as just a title, right? Like I'm a TEDx speaker, but people don't know the story behind that. And I think that it's so beautiful to be able to share, what does that mean, right? Like what did you do and how did you get there? And for so many of us, we're all continuously in this journey. I would imagine that, again, you've been in a wheelchair since a very early age. You've had several different things that have come across your life in this journey that led to you becoming the disability advocate that you are today. Tell me a little bit more about what that was like.
Let's take a quick break.
I want to pause for a moment because if you're listening to this conversation and realizing that some of these patterns, like people pleasing, second guessing yourself, or feeling stuck in the messy middle are showing up in your business, I want you to know that you're not alone. So many other women that I work with are hustling hard but not seeing consistent results, feeling scattered because they're trying to do all the things or struggling to make decisions without doubting themselves, or just plain exhausted from running their business without a clear plan. And that's exactly why I created the Confident You CEO Retreat. It's a space where you step away from the noise, you get clarity in what actually matters, and walk away with a 90-day roadmap that feels doable and not overwhelming. If you've been craving focus, confidence, and strategy that actually works, this retreat is for you, my friend. Head into goconfidentlycoaching.com and you can save your spot at the website. Now, let's get back into this important conversation.
Yeah. How much time do we have? Right.
Yeah, right. Because I think that people don't realize that this is something that happens every day and not just once, but there's multiple times in which this can be something that individuals encounter.
Yeah. I mean, I had to learn these self-advocacy skills at such a young age, being in a wheelchair by age 8, we're, living in rural North Shore, Minnesota. The Americans with Disabilities Act hadn't been passed yet. Federal law takes a long time to get to rural areas. And the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA, is the largest unfunded mandate the United States government has ever brought forth. So when there's not money, or there's not, accountability, trying to think of the right words.
Good word. I like that.
Right.
Accountability it's a good word.
Yeah. And so when there's not that for a federal mandate, that becomes very tricky. So then everybody's like, oh, well, when do we have the money? Well, fast forward 35 years, it'll be 35 years in July. And it's like, wow, a lot has changed, and yet so much more still needs to. But getting to your question, it was like, I didn't really realize what my rights were until probably later high school. My family got to the point where they're so tired of beating their head against the same brick with our local high school. And it really took like calling OSHA, calling some disability lawyers, like doing the hard thing that makes you feel ishy, especially for us northern, like I said, Minnesota nice, like people should just do what's right because it's right, not because somebody's beating you over the head with a stick kind of a thing. But sometimes you have to do what's hard and what's right because, I, as a student at the time, should have the right to be in band just because the band room happened to be down a flight of stairs, just because there happened to be a track chair that when in use, made me get hairline fractures in my femurs, which then led to bilateral knee replacements at age 15 and 16. Like things just had to be changed, right?
Yeah.
And so I had great band teachers. They're like adopted parents to me. They're my musical parents in many ways. And later on in life, they were able to tell me, oh, well, this teacher said this, or that teacher that said that, or just the engagements that I had with other high school teachers of like, why are we doing all this renovation for one kid? Why are we spending all this money for one kid? And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm going on to become a band teacher. I'm going on to be a fellow educator. And the kicker was, after lots of discrimination situations, even in college, and, doing all that on and off as an advocate for myself and for others, I came back to my district. So here I am teaching with some of these teachers that maybe didn't necessarily understand what it meant to teach a disabled student back in the day. And here I am now as your colleague. And it was really great for the most part, right? And then I heard even more stories from some of those other teachers that were just like, so now that you're an adult and you're on the other side of the desk, let's have coffee.
That's right.
And it was like, wow, okay, so full circle. So then how do we keep sharing stories? Because again, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm not going to throw lemons at people that were maybe ignorant or maybe oppressive or discriminatory. But when we know better, we need to do better. So
absolutely. And I think that's education is so important, both for all sides. And sometimes we are only seeing what's inside the house, but not outside our window.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. I've encountered that as well. Now, you started with this journey at the very young age, and I was going through your book, and I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't finish it prior to the interview, but I was going through the book. I couldn't help but to admire the story, and the reason I admire is because you vividly talk about your time in the bathtub and how you started. You have that vivid memory of comparing your knees and noticing that one was larger than the other, and then all of a sudden you started the path of being diagnosed. And like you said, you live in a very rural area. Now, what do you remember of the adults around you maybe feeling or experiencing? And I know that it's difficult to describe on their behalf, but I know that from our child perspective, we saw something going on.
Yeah, the family story goes that I had been skating the night before with my family, and I had a fall on the flooded rink in our local small town. And then, like you said, the bathroom scene the next morning, calling for my mom, and my dad was a volunteer ambulance driver for several years before I was born. And so the first doctor said, oh, yeah, you have water in the knee. We'll just shove a needle in your knee and take out the extra fluid and you'll be good. And my dad was like, you're not doing that to my daughter because that's not okay. I do remember meeting the next doctor in town because it was like in this weird clinic, and now it's a restaurant and all that kind of stuff. So it isn't a typical like clinic setting. So I remember that was kind of weird. I remember getting stickers and lollipops. I remember him saying like, I think you have arthritis, but you need to go to Duluth, which is the next biggest town, and see a rheumatologist. So that's kind of when all the big words and all the ologist and ology entered into my world. I went and saw him. He seemed like an okay doctor, but like this was like, whoa, there's multiple floors to this hospital and clinic. Like this is different, right? And that guy at the time said, hey, well, there's this tick-borne illness called Lyme's disease. And being up in rural Minnesota, there's lots of deer and lots of ticks. So you need to go to Rochester, Minnesota to Mayo Clinic and get diagnosed. And I was like, okay, well, this sounds annoying, but sounds pretty cool, right? Yeah. And the things I remember most about Rochester was it was very big. It was very busy. I remember a radiologist tech guy getting in my face, yelling at me that I wasn't drinking my barium fast enough and like making me cry. Well, if you make a little girl cry, she's not going to want to drink, and you're not going to want to drink that junk anyways. So I remember my dad getting in his face, like, my daughter will finish it when she's good and ready. And I'm sorry for your schedule, but this is my daughter and you won't talk to her that way. I remember being in lots of white rooms. I also remember hearing lots of doctors with English as a second language. So to me, it was just all noise above me. Like, and some of the accents were super cool, but then like I couldn't understand the words, let alone all the medical words. So it was like a double whammy for me as a kid, and like painful, of course. And then I remember one guy gave my parents like, you know, it looked like it could be like Skittles in a package, but then they're like, you need to get her to take these at lunch. And so my most vivid memory was being, now I know that it was a maitre d', and now I know it was a hoity-toity restaurant because it had carpet on the floor. But as a kid, I was like, this is like a weird experience. And I saw my mom take the Skittles, quote unquote, out and like squish them in spoons. I'm like, what are you doing to the Skittles? Like, what's wrong? And then I'm like, oh, that's medicine. I'm not dumb. Right. Like I'm 8 years old. I'm not dumb.
But you're not dumb. Right.
Right. And I'm a texture person. So I'm like, you're going to crush that up and put that in my mashed potatoes. I'm like, I'm going to puke. And both my mom and dad looked at me and like, you will not. This is a nice restaurant. You are not going to puke. Sure enough, whatever. I remember feeling that, tasting that, whatever, and just like leaned over the chair, like onto the nice carpet floor. And they were just like so embarrassed. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I told you, I warned you, like, this is gross. And I remember getting back to the last doctor. And I thought he had to be super cool because he was like the last one of the day. We were in a very posh leather seating, you know, big red oak desk and bookshelf and all the things. And then I saw my parents start crying. And I was like, but I thought you were supposed to be the good doctor because you don't have needles. We're sitting on couches. Like, I don't get it. Right. And so that was just kind of like the roller coaster of like the official diagnosis. So many years later, I was like, you know, I've dealt with this disease forever. I've seen a fellow friend in my middle school days die from JRA, from complications from it. Wow. And I was like, I'm going to be danged. Like if I'm going out, it's going to be this disease. It's not going to be cancer caused by some of the medications I take. It's not going to be like, if I'm going down, it's going to be this thing that's been bugging me since I was 7 years old. And I was like, man, well, cancer survivors celebrate their diagnosis date. So I want to know what my diagnosis date was. And my original rheumatologist looked at me and he's like, are you for real? And I'm like, yep. So I had a big party celebrating my 30th anniversary with good friends.
Wow.
Because like it's not my journey, right? It's our journey. Every single life is impacted. We make a tapestry together and we're stronger together. So that has really changed my whole outlook of life because I went through really hard times. I had a depression when I was 15. I wanted life to end. I had a faith, but it wasn't a strong faith until then. And it was like, all right, now I know more things. And now I know that I've got stuff to do. And it's going to be hard, but it's important.
And Jenna, you know, I would have to say, in again, this is something that you describe as a child. And I remember 15, I remember my teen years. I really hated myself at times. And I compared myself to the pretty girls, you know, the ones who had gotten the beautiful brand new car when they turned 16 and they had all the designer jeans. And it was hard to compare myself. And I bet that there was that component for you as well.
Yeah, in some ways, I would say, you know, it was very different. Kids would get to go to slumber parties. Kids would get to go to pool parties. Kids would get to go to pizza parties. Everything, you know, thankfully, my parents made our house accessible later on in my disability. Instead of pulling me up the split entry stairs, they put a ramp into the kitchen area. And so my house kind of became the hangout. So all my girlfriends came to the house to do things at my house. And the few times that I can remember ever venturing out to their house when it was a good year, quote unquote, of mobility, you know, and it was different. It was, I would say, like the time you said, you know, when people are getting cars around 16, I remember pulling up in my own car at graduation with a friend that helped me get my chair in and out because I hadn't had it renovated yet. Because I started surgeries at 15 and 16. So when you have orthopedic surgeries, you can't do all the things with a fake hip and fake knees and fake ankles. And
Right,
and
right.
all the things. But the super cool thing is I actually just came home from a weekend at one of my best friend's houses, and she also is a wheelchair user and kind of my mentor in life. And her and her husband just bought a house in a neighboring state. And so I just got a solo trip all by myself,
Mhm.
got to hang out there, have all the needs met. And it was like, wow, this is what all my friends experienced from a very young age, sometimes even
Mhm.
every week, right? Going to your
Yeah.
friend's house, doing the things. So, you know, you never know when an adventure comes around. You never know when life comes full circle, but celebrate it when it does.
Yeah. I think that your journey is so inspiring. And I know that a lot of people probably say that, but in a way, you really have been through this roller coaster of not only health, but emotions through everything that
Mhm.
you went through. Now, fast forward to where you are today. The first time you and I met, you were in your car, and I was so happy, right? That I'm speaking to not only someone who I was looking forward to speak, but here's someone who is living their life, and it's so inspiring to me because at times, and I know that many people would remark to my grandmother, "Oh, but you're moving, you're doing this." And
Mm.
it's a choice to, live life fully.
Yep.
Is that something that you often are aware of, or do you just naturally this has become your normal, right? That I live my life, I don't let things stop me, I keep going.
I would say kind of both.
Hmm.
You know, I've been in the last couple of years, I've been diving into disability justice, and my friends in that world have taught me so much, you know, like crip
Hmm.
time and also spoons, right? So there are days when I've got 8 to 12 spoons, and I can use 4 of them for my personal care, and then I can do 2 of them for work, and I can do 2 of them for these other things. I've got
Hmm.
some playtime. And then the next day I wake up and I only have 2 spoons, but it takes
Hmm.
me 8 to do independent living, you know? So it's a trade-off, and we all as humans have it, but
Hmm.
in disability culture, it's even more so because it's like, well, do I use the energy to take my medication that might help?
Hmm.
Or do I use that spoon to take a nap and take care of my body in a different way? Or do I use 4 spoons and I'm in a deficit so I can go out to
Yeah.
the local coffee shop with a friend
Hmm.
because that emotional time and that, you know, connection time is going to give me back a couple spoons. So it's
Mm.
always that planning ahead. It's
Yeah.
always that being pre-prescribed. And I would say, in all honesty and vulnerability, I get tired of it. I
Hmm.
miss being able to be spontaneous in some ways. I'm also 45, so the whole natural process of
Yeah.
aging and having less spoons is a reality.
Hmm.
Um, but I also am I would say now, especially in the last probably 5 to 8 years, I've been very conscious of who I spend time with and the people that breathe life into me, that speak life over me versus people that always need me to give them life. And there needs to be a balance of that because you get what you give as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
But I think just being more aware and self reflective
Hmm.
and having those really deep friendships and relationships
Yeah.
that you can have those, at least for me being an introvert. I need that connection time and I
Hmm.
need that downtime. But I was a middle school teacher and I'm still a middle school robotics coach, so it's like
Hmm.
I need that weird zany spontaneity pulling energy off of other people to get through the days sometimes too.
I think of a lot of individuals that have been dealing with so many different disabilities and things that come up to them, whether it be through a health issue or an accident. And
Mhm.
I believe that at times it's not a dirty word, right? Like you allude to say that you're in a
Mhm.
wheelchair, and it's not something that they necessarily want to hide. And disability doesn't have to be that bad word. Talk to me
Mhm.
a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I love when I can flip scripts, both in my mental health world, but
Hmm.
then also how others think or react to
Mhm.
me and with me and other people. So disability is not a bad word. It's something that just naturally happens. And in
Mhm.
some disability community language, they'll say you'll be lucky to be disabled if you live long enough. And
Mm.
there are just different aspects of life that disability culture and community can bring. Like I remember my first teaching job was at a parochial school, and the headmaster, who was a sister, pulled me into her office one day and she's like, let's just have a chat. I'm like, okay. She's like, I just need you to know that I lived with somebody in a wheelchair when I was going through college and whatever. And she taught me, like, you have to plan so far ahead. And I said, right, I'm already 4 days from now knowing who's going to help me get dressed. What food do I need to have prepped? Do I have everything in the house to prep the food that I have? Who's going to help me do laundry in 4 or 5 days? Will I have this white shirt on because I have a podcast that I need to do? Like
Right.
again, all the things that everybody needs to do at some level,
Mhm.
but I don't have the ability to be like, oh crap, that podcast is in a half hour. I got to throw that in the dryer. Like that just
Yeah.
doesn't function for me.
Right.
But as a leader, as a community leader, I have to be careful in making sure that I share that, because I've learned over time
Mhm.
that sometimes when you're 4 steps ahead, other people see that as a naysayer, or other people think that you're trying to poke holes in things or whatever. And it's like, oh, no, sorry. That's just how my brain naturally works, because I always
Mhm.
have to be planning ahead. And then other times you're like, you're 45 years old and you're going to play air hockey because that is like what you want to do when you have time off. It's like, yep, I want to be a
Mhm.
little kid again for a little bit.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm gonna coast with my Firefly down a really big paved hill, and what's gonna happen? I'm gonna become more disabled. Well, I don't really want that, because
Right.
life is hard enough already. But like, you want to feel the wind in your hair, you want to have adventure, you
Mhm.
want to feel a part of community. Um, and it just looks different on whatever day is a good day or a bad day.
Mm, I know that, intentionality is one of the things that in my life, right, keeps me, and I have an autoimmune. So at
Mhm.
times, especially in the winter time or certain times, I know, right, well,
Mhm.
this is going to be that time where I need to allocate my spoons this way. And I love that you talk about the spoons, but I
Yep.
in our world, and you mentioned the American Disability Act doesn't have any money behind it. They don't
Mhm.
have someone that is going out inspecting to making sure the little things are as
Yeah.
they should be, so that they can provide accessibility to others. And when we provide that accessibility, we're creating inclusion.
Mhm.
So tell me, what are some of the things that individuals who are not in a wheelchair, who are not in a disabled body, or living their lives, right, with a disability, what are little things that we take for granted that maybe we should pay attention to help others in their journey?
That's a great question. Little things like opening a door. There are so many spaces where there's not power doors, or if they
Mhm.
are, they're broke, or they're not turned on, or the wind just whipped it open and therefore broke the gears or whatever.
Mhm.
Making sure your bathrooms are accessible, and accessibility means a different to each person.
Yeah.
But as long as you're promoting what you have, like especially for any business owners or
Mhm.
um, that kind of folks that might be listening, like promote what you do have and don't use words, use pictures, because that is leaving it up to us to determine what works for us, or what
Yeah.
adaptive devices we need to bring to be
Mhm.
safe in your environments. And get kind of dual answering the why disability is not a bad word. And this question is, um, shoot, I just lost it, but it was really good.
That
There's
happens
a
to be a lot, Jenna.
see that 45-year-old brain and all the things. Um, oh, it is not our disability that makes us disabled. It is the environments in which you put us in.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
So,
I'm so glad you remembered. Say it
yes.
again, because I think that that's worth saying again and really distilling that in this conversation.
Yeah, so it is not my medical condition or my disability that makes me disabled. It's the environments in which people put me in. So, a
Mm,
great example is in one of my schools I taught in, the band room was all one level. So I could do everything. I can haul chairs, I can set up my band room, I can haul music stands, I can set up the percussion equipment. But in my other school, it was a tiered choir room, which meant all the steps were made out of cement. Well, in the band room example, I can get to any kid that might have a medical need.
Mm-hmm.
In the choir room that had this tiered cement steps, I could get nowhere.
Nowhere. Yeah.
So I could get to the bottom rung of everything, but then I had to really trust my kids. My kids had to trust me, and they had to listen to my words, and I had to be very clear and succinct of Julie's on the third riser. Julie's having a seizure. You need to carefully grab her, step by step,
them,
teaching other, right. And that is a lot of mental tabs to have open at all times to keep yourself safe, to keep all the kids safe. And it's kind of another example of, like this last weekend being at my friend's house. Well, because she needed a lift into her mud room from her garage. Well, then the lift was there for me. She needs a bathroom that she can use, and we have similar disabilities, so her bathroom worked for me. So it's like I could just go and be. I didn't have to think through all the extra things.
Right.
And my one example I love to use is, I was working with an agency a couple of years ago, and I was like, awesome, you have a ramp to get up here. Yeah. And they're patting themselves on the back. They're like, oh, and we just got power buttons. They're patting themselves on the back. And I was like, okay, but now what can I do when I'm in here? And they're like, oh, I'm like, can I go to the bathroom here? Well, can I give myself a diabetic shot and then put the needle in the sharps container?
So important. We take all these little nuances for granted. Right. And unless we have someone who is in our life that may have those needs, or we ourselves, right? We don't think with that perspective, and we're not trying to say, we need to make the world perfect for everyone, but we need to give everyone the opportunities to maybe go up the steps. And like I think of different areas that I've gone to that maybe my grandmother would have never been able to, right? Because of her being in a wheelchair. And granted, she did work very hard and not being left behind and I love that because I saw the example of her thinking, it's not a no, it's a how can I? Right. And many individuals have to spend their life doing that. And I hope that, perhaps if someone is listening that maybe they haven't gotten to that, can inspire them by seeing that your willingness to say, how can I make this work, can be an example for them as well.
And I think also to look at our unconscious bias, right? Like right now I'm looking at working with a couple different communities around playgrounds. So off the hip, Julie, when you think of an accessible playground, who do you think the audience is?
I think kids in a wheelchair, but not necessarily visually impaired, or kids who have maybe, hearing impaired, or there's different things that I probably am not even coming up with.
Or the grandparent that uses a walker and it's a non-disabled grandchild, but the grandparent needs to get up to, again, put a shoe on or whatever.
That's so good. So good.
And same thing, like, I'm in a very tourism area. And so we've got lots of gift shops and tourist industry type things. And I'm like, they're like, oh, well, we've got this and this and this and this. And then I go, so where's your application so I can come and work here?
That's right.
Oh, well, the public bathroom's accessible, but the worker bathroom isn't, or the lounge is up 4 stairs, or, well, the kiosk works for somebody to buy something from us as accessible, but it doesn't work for a wheelchair to fit behind the point of sale area. And it's like, again, we always think of that outward facing, that little kid or whatever. And it's like, no, it could be anybody in community. That could be in those spaces.
Your example of the grandparent definitely hits home, because my mom, who is 82, moved in with us. She broke her pelvis 2 years ago. It's doing great considering she's pretty mobile for an 82-year-old and slower than most. But I've been noticing, especially on Saturday, we went to one of the local towns. It's a historic town, dates back to the 1700s. George
Wow.
Washington went by there, so there's a lot of really quaint historic places. And first of all, it rained a lot. So the pavement but we enjoyed ourselves because it's a little festival going on. And then we saw this quaint little cafe where we wanted to go and have lunch. As I opened the door to go up, the door was so heavy. And then I stepped up to help her, and I realized that the step was really high and was not in compliance. There's no way that was the compliance step.
Right.
And of course, this is an old building. And all these little nuances that I'm becoming so aware. And it makes me really adamant that the more that we can have this conversation and awareness can be brought to this, we can find different solutions, or we can work towards helping each other. But I think a lot of people already, especially business owners, and I've heard this, I've worked with many business owners and companies that tend to think, well, that's expensive for me. What is your thought on that for businesses that are that frame of mind?
Yeah. Like, again, because I'm rural and I've got some friends that are small business owners, like I get it. And some are, barely trying to make it. And the disability population spends, it's like an outrageous number. It's like $132 billion a year on the travel industry. And that's like those that have the ability to do that financially, let alone those that have the unction to go through all the stress of planning, your disability life in new spaces and places. And so I think, and then also, I think it's also just lack of education, as we said before, of like, they think that the ADA doesn't apply to them because they're a historic building, which is also bunk, but I don't have enough credentials behind my name to get all the details of that one yet, but I'm working on that. And they also think that, well, if I become a part of this code, then I have to do this next thing and this next thing and this next thing. Or, well, my building was built in 1992, so I only have to comply with this version of the ADA. And it's like, okay, well, good for you. But now you're just treating me like a checklist. You're not treating me like a human. You're not treating your mom like a human. Of like, we want to come and give you money. We want to come and take part of your services. And we are the most diverse minority population in the world. We also are the most loyal population in the world, because if you treat us well and we feel safe and we feel seen and our needs are being met, not only are we coming, but we're telling all of our disabled and elderly or older friends as well, and let alone all of our allies and families, like, go and support these people because this is their model.
No better advertisement than having a happy customer and having a client that just knows that you've gone above the basic, because they're going to then turn around and share with others what you've done.
Yeah. And then also like that the ADA code is just the floor. It's not the ceiling.
It's not the ceiling.
That's just where we start. And so you can go above and beyond, hence my nonprofit name, that you can go above and beyond ADA code. You can go above and beyond what anybody is telling you. And you should be involving disability community and culture in that, because we have great ways of figuring out creatively how you can make things better. And it might, like we said earlier, it might not work for every single body shape or size or need, but it might catch more in the net. And then if you promote, like we said earlier, through picture what you have, then people that maybe it doesn't fully fit, they can bring something to make it work. Or this is awesome, and I love in our small rural areas where they partner. So it's like, oh, well, we really want to eat at this restaurant, but they're promoting that this other restaurant down the street has an accessible bathroom. But they don't care if we eat at this other one, but then we come and use the restroom and get our dessert at this other one, right? So it's like working together to be able to promote and showing that you're inclusive of all folks within your whole community instead of just being little silos, I think also is a great a great way of promoting each other.
Mm-hmm. Good segue to your organization. And I did want to talk a little bit above and beyond with you.
Mhm.
How did you come about starting the organization?
Yeah, so this really was birthed out of my 2020 Bush Fellowship.
Mhm.
And it really comes to this point of like, how do we fund, how do we help smaller businesses get to that
Mhm.
next level? Because
Yeah.
there's lots of amazing owners, especially in my area, like they want
Mhm.
to, but like we said, it's the red tape, it's the financial,
Mhm. Yeah.
or it's just that we don't have time. We're working to the bone. We don't have a strategic plan yet for our physical space.
Mhm.
Um, and we just celebrated our 2nd-year anniversary in April, so we're
Congrats.
fresh into our 3rd year. Thank
Mhm.
you. And my hope eventually is that because we're a nonprofit, excluding our current administration and all the things that are happening in the grant world, but
Mhm.
my hope is that we as nonprofit can go and get grants that are much larger
Yeah.
that small businesses can't get. And then we
Mhm.
can come alongside and work on the accessibility thing. So,
Yeah.
like, one of my examples is like, all right, so you're going to remodel the bathroom. Awesome. Now apply for the grant that we're providing. We'll
Mhm.
provide the bars, we'll provide the higher toilet, those kinds of things. You do all the other stuff, we'll come alongside financially and help with that part. Or
Yeah.
or you're going to resurface your parking lot. Well,
Mhm.
making the accommodations for access aisles, larger van accessible
Mhm.
ones, the signs, the paint, all the thing,
Yeah.
come alongside and help do that work. So that's the big dream financially from my
Mhm.
side. And then it's just the
I love it.
consulting and training of, how do we make sure we're interacting with people with disabilities in appropriate ways?
Yeah. And some of the things that bless you, some of the things that your goals for the organization is to collaborate with others and encourage them and train and create that sustainable change, right? You're
Mhm.
also looking to be the conduit for between non-disabled and disability cultures. And I think that I love the fact that you're bringing to the table the many viewpoints. I think sometimes we don't create space to do that.
Mhm.
And this is when, the mentality of us, them, we and they and you really come in. Whereas we all, yes, are human. We're looking to protect ourselves. We're looking to be loved, to have this life. But we should listen to where other people are at so
Mhm.
that we can create more communities that are welcoming to all, not just to better for some and not others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the organization that you've built is definitely something that I would love the listeners to look at the different things that you're providing, because sometimes we don't understand, and you're not only providing the services, you're also providing the training and best practices, and you do so from a perspective that you've been on that receiving end, and the difference that it can make.
Yeah, and the unique thing about our board as well is that we're a board of 9 and we're all connected to education. So it's
Love that.
never like that feeling of being put down or, oh, how come you
Mhm.
don't know that? Or, any
Yeah.
of that. It's like we're all at different parts of the journey of accessibility inclusion. We're all at different parts of our, financial planning and different organization structures.
Mhm.
And the whole point of with you is that we're not just like coming into a consultation and we're gone, or coming into a site
Mhm.
audit and we're gone. Like, we want to build these relationships because the more that we build a relationship, the more we promote each other. And then the U is just a capital U because, again, as a
Mhm.
music teacher, little kindergartners, 5-year-olds could
Yeah.
not say Miss Udenberg, but they could say, hey, Miss U.
Miss you, right? Oh,
And
I
then
love that.
substitute teachers would be like, oh, the kids told me that they missed you. I'm like, no, they're just saying my name. But
Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Oh,
so, yeah.
yeah. It's so many layers to the conversation, but I want to just dive a couple more seconds or minutes, if you indulge me, into where are places that we individuals who maybe and again, we may have someone in our lives who needs the accessibility, but we don't realize it. But where are places in which we can contribute to the conversation? We can support individuals like you, not only who is the recipient of the accessibility, but also creating accessibility for others. Where can we provide that support?
That is an awesome question. I think the biggest thing is just starting to have that conversation.
Mhm.
If you're starting to see things, like I just did an audit 2 summers ago of my small town of all the curb cuts. So I had friends help push me around or drive in the
Mhm.
van with me and do some writing. They're like, Jenna, I can never look at a sidewalk the same ever again.
Wow.
I'm like,
Yep.
right. So it's like once it's about being an ally. It's
Mhm.
about, having that conversation with others. It's about reaching out to, nonprofits like Above and Beyond with You or
Mhm.
something that might be similar in your neck of the woods. Getting involved with your centers for independent living. They all kind of have different names in different parts of
Yep.
every state, but they're
Mhm.
there. There's adaptive outdoor rec places. There's local rehab units. Like
Mhm.
there are so many different ways that people can be engaged. For me, the one thing that I love is reading people's memoirs. So that's what
Mm.
inspired me to write mine.
That's
But
right.
like, if you don't know who Judith Human is, go check her out. Websites, podcasts, the 2 or 3 books that she wrote. I mean, she is amazing, was amazing. Unfortunately, she's in heaven now. But
Mm.
she left a legacy behind for us to all
Right.
partner with. So the
Mm.
more that you get to know about the history of the ADA and Section
Mhm.
504 and, all the things that right now are kind of buzzwords uh in the news and that
Yeah,
kind of
that's
stuff,
right.
like
Yeah.
deep dive into it to understand. Don't just brush it off and
Mhm.
go, oh, whatever, that's for disabled people. I don't need to be a part of that.
Mm.
Nope, because every life is impacted by disability. So we all need to know what IDEA is and 504 and all
Yeah.
the things. Because we're impacted by it.
Absolutely. And I think that, again, I want people to view this conversation as not only informative, but also a call to action. And
Mhm.
I want to close our conversation. Number one, encouraging the listener to go in your book. I am at chapter 14. I didn't get very far, but within my spokes, a tapestry of pain, growth, and freedom. And it is beautifully written, some wonderful experiences. And Jenna shares her heart, but again, her trajectory to where she is today. And I want to encourage you to share that book with friends, family, and if you are in a community, put it in your little community libraries as well. This is one of my favorite things to do lately there's several in the neighborhood. So we have so many independent authors that it's so great to be able to share their work and their teachings and lessons with others that may not come across them. And, Jenna, you're going to have to come back. You have to be one of these people that come and catch us up with what you're doing. And now you're one of the organizations that we will add to the nonprofits that we want to support and connect with and bring the word out. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the support and what a great conversation. And definitely would love to come back and chat up more.
Anytime. And my friend, I want to leave us with a quote from Judy Humans, and it is disability only becomes a tragedy for me when society fails to provide the things we need to lead our lives, job opportunities, or barriers free buildings. It is not a tragedy to me that I'm living in a wheelchair. And I think that this is the mentality that many individuals are living with. I think, again, the sad part is when we are not allowing people to live as full life as we can. So, thank you, everyone. And until next time, don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Thanks for listening to Casa De Confidence. We thank you for listening, and if you want more, go to casadeconfidencepod.com. Check Julie out on her socials as Julie DeLucca-Collins. And you can also check out her website at goconfidentlycoaching.com. Have a great week, and don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all. But the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business. Push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.